I think I should be. Okay, I should be live. Everything should be. I think I should be. Okay, I should be live.
Yeah.
Okay, let me message B Sox.
Yeah. Oops.
Just send this link around.
Right.
Okay, it should share automatically on my Discord page. Hey, Hobby, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. Okay, so who are in the finals? It's B Sox and
Eritos.
ooh, Raitos. Okay, this should be an exciting one. Two classic rivals going at it.
Yeah. That's as predicted, I would say. The number one and number two seed meeting again in finals.
Yeah, I made you go for a good game. I mean, nothing wrong with that. If they're good players, that just means that if people want to start joining more in these, that now's the time. You don't have too much competition. Um, I was
Yeah.
looking at format libraries. I did notice that Imperial actually got a format library page, which
Right, because this happened just a couple of days ago. Actually, when we started the tournament, it was, let me look this up. That was just a week ago, Saturday the 6th,
hmm,
and it was noon EST.
you
And
said
now it's grand finals, so that's just 1 week and another day later. Uh, yeah.
okay. We do have the match up.
So yeah, and so 1.5 weeks ago we acquired Retrobot, and Jazz just made a category for Imperial.
Okay,
So this is the first tournament that we've been running with the help of Retrobot,
that's
which
exciting.
yeah, is quite handy.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, yeah. So I played the part of tournament organizer, but because of Retrobot, I really didn't have to do anything for the last couple of days. Like the only tricky part was just setting Retrobot up because like we had a couple of hiccups
Hmm.
initially, and
I mean,
like
everything seems to be like pretty smooth at the end of the day, and that's what's important.
right.
Now we got a finals with a confiscation and a pot agreed, and then mechanical chaser into a tomato. I wouldn't be shocked if both these are just tomato control.
Uh, I think Bsox already told you that he's playing something a little bit different.
Now you've mentioned me that he hasn't mentioned me anything about the deck, but I'm excited to see what he's trying out. He's going to attack with his
Yeah.
own mechanical chaser.
Okay, I joined late. Bsox won rock paper scissors.
Uh,
Is that right?
see, one, two, three. I would think so. Looks like he probably used confiscation on pot agreed. Which would make sense if he won.
Yeah, that would make sense because otherwise Aritus would be lower in the deck count, but
Right.
he's higher. Right. Okay, you also joined late apparently.
Yeah. What's up, Zacharoni and Cheese? This is Dueling Book. It's a great free program for all your
Yeah,
dueling
did you
needs.
did you see what B6 chose with Sengen?
Oh, I did not. Sorry, I was looking at chat.
Well,
What did he pick?
perfect. That's all the better because like then your surprise won't be spoiled. I want to have you be surprised.
Ooh, I
Um,
only have so many eyes. Two of them, in fact. Yeah, I'm excited to see how just we got history YGO in chat too. Welcome, blah. Uh, yeah,
okay.
I'm excited to see how far this has gone. I mean, when I like coined the term Imperial format just to like having a all these like tournaments now to have in its own format library page, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, right. I looked this up earlier, like
Right,
that
Geki.
video that you oh wow, that's very powerful. So
Yes.
Bsox is far ahead now.
Sonic Bird. Yeah, he also hit a Mystic Tomato, which is great.
Right, Sonic Bird. So what is he getting? What card is he getting now? Maybe
Rolling.
hamburger recipe,
Ooh, Crab Turtle, perhaps.
crab turtle, oath, whatever. Novok's prayer, I think. No.
Yeah, Novak.
So
Yeah, that'd be. I mean, that would be legal, but
yeah, I believe there are only 3 legal rituals. So now that's good for Aritos, crashing Tomato into Sonic Bird,
hmm, it's interesting.
gaining back control of the field.
The nice thing about Sonic
Uh,
Bird is that it does have 14, so you can crash with recruiters. Now,
yeah,
unfortunately, you can't recruit with Sonic Bird, but you're already getting the advantage straight off with a
right,
normal summon.
right. And like Mystic Tomato or crashing another recruiter into this just like tries to ameliorate the damage a little bit. And Aritos chooses to go into Sangan, not third Tomato, because
Does that mean he has Tomato
like
in hand?
no, Tomato is in deck. I'm pretty sure he just doesn't want the Tomato to get sucked up, because that's like worst case scenario. Then like the advantage that Bsox already has just escalates further.
This is true. However, he did
Oh,
save the black. He could have used a black illusion with Sonic Bird to get the tomato from the start, but the fact that he's using with the Sangan now means that he gets a Sangan search and can take it, the opposing Sangan. Although that
mm,
can still trigger Sangan's effect for the opponent once that's sent to the graveyard.
right, right. So I'm kind of worrying. Like this could mean one of two things. Either Bsox doesn't care about sucking up a Sangan,
And he's gonna
as you say,
suck it
which
up.
is not optimal.
Yeah, it's interesting that he didn't
Yeah.
crash. That he decided to crash, but I suppose he was expecting there would be another tomato. Could have been a possibility, but 1,000 damage is 1,000 taken. And at least,
So equal in life points,
yes, and at least with sucking
but
up
not equal in
Sangan,
cards. Yeah.
no, no. At least with when he sucks up Sangan, when your opponent has to attack into it, there's more likely chance they'll take at least some burn damage from it, at least, which you may not necessarily get with a tomato.
Yeah, but both parties take equal damage. So you might say that part is fair. But okay, Regeki on Relinquished,
And then he gets the
which is
Sangan
also not,
search.
yeah, I mean, at least that. So now it's 4-4 in cards, and life points are equal too. Just Bisox will be ahead on the draw, and Eritos will be ahead in board presence.
And we know that B
Summon.
Sox has a Senju in hand as well. He got from his Sangan search.
Okay, Bisox didn't activate the trap card, so maybe it's not real. Maybe it's
Hmm.
just a bluff.
Could be. Could be another black illusion or anything else. We haven't seen any traps on B Sox's side. Or yeah, the only thing
Yeah,
from Arados is the Soul Mirror Force.
yeah. So maybe they're both running low in traps. So the set card is not a Call of
Ooh.
the Haunted, which would have been entirely possible.
Arados has the Call of the Haunted, so he has both recruiters on field. Not a
Mm.
great situation to be facing.
Okay, Sanju.
Especially when you have Relinquished, because you got to use resources for Relinquished, and when you're facing two monsters that can get you other monsters, you'd be hard pressed to Dark Hole or even suck anything up at that
Yeah,
point, because either way, they're going to get your opponent's going to get something out of it. Reyes is going to get something from it.
yeah. Right. Bisox used his Regeki 2 Dark Hole. He obviously doesn't have it. The set is not a mirror force. Oh, okay, it's premature
Premature.
burial.
Interesting. What will he
So close.
choose? Sandgame,
I initially
perhaps?
thought, yeah.
Oh, nope.
No, no, no. He
Relinquished.
can he can summon Relinquished, suck up one of these. Then he can use, if he has the ritual spell, he could use that immediately, suck up the other monster too, and then his position would be commanding again. Let's see if he has it.
No,
Okay,
it's
he
battle
doesn't,
phase.
but this is good too.
Yeah, you're still getting some damage in. And you get to keep that witch as well instead of sending it to the graveyard.
For now, yeah.
Yeah, what is up, Red
So,
Eye Solars? I'm one of the players from the tourney. Thanks for streaming the finals. Of course. B Sox
yeah,
asked me to host it since, well, he's in it. A Forceful Century.
that's good. Yeah.
Get a peek into his
Not,
hand. Will they show for
yeah, so
the
Beatles,
audience? Probably not.
maybe he will write it down. People will usually do that.
He's thinking on
Um,
it.
yeah, but like he should be far ahead and he should be in the winning position, obviously. Looking at the GY of Aritos, they lost Regeki, they lost Mirror Force. Looking kind of bad.
Pot of Greed is used up.
Yeah, and two of the tomatoes, one of the chasers
They
is
could
gone.
still attack into the Relinquished if they wanted to get a search from it.
Yeah, and the good thing is that every Mystic Space Typhoon or Heavy Storm also will get them the search and will get rid of Relinquish too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, you just gotta get rid of that
there's
premature.
there's still a lot that
Yeah.
could be top decked,
It's
but
like Besox sent the Monster Reborn, and the other cards is Knock and Tomato. So now Besox is no not to. He's not going to set any monsters at the moment.
yeah, that knock is a blank.
Or then Tomato. I mean, Tomato's
Mm,
still an
I mean,
option he can use.
Besox, if he doesn't summon and if he has like some kind of flip, like a Magician of Faith or Man Eater Bug. He might set it just to get it knocked,
Mm-hmm.
just to remove further outs from Arita's deck. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. He could use it to his advantage. So Tomato is still there. That's perfect from Arita's perspective. Tomato can crash into Sanju, can get another witch. They
Reborn.
could crash.
Ooh.
Okay, we won. Yeah,
Brought back a Sangan.
yeah.
Yeah, nice thing about it, if you want to knock, if you want to force out a knock from your opponent, especially with a ritual deck, you do kind of want to get through your deck a bit quicker. And if you have more banished monsters, it's just a quicker way to get that, especially if you're not going to be using a man eater bug. But we haven't seen that yet on BSOC's side. Gonna crash and then get out Sangan. So we just got rid of 2 monsters. And a confiscation. The treasures are surely sacred. What will he discard? It's good for Arados' side now, because now he knows what BSOC searched for. So what will he decide? Because Relinquish can still attack over Sandgame because he has the Witch attached to it. So Relinquish is still a threat.
Well, it's only going to be 100 points of damage, but like if Ben has any other monster that's easily 1,000 more, maybe even more than that. So
Like
like Aratus could be on a 2-turn clock.
yeah, his hand size is very. I mean, we know that's a noblement of cross out. So whatever he gets off the Sangan, which is only 1,500 or less attack, so it's not like he can get a mechanical chaser from this. It has to be something more specific.
Yeah, Cannon Soldier. Because like all the tomatoes are gone, there's Cannon Soldier left, right? Because this format only has one witch, so Sangan cannot
Mm-hmm.
go into another witch.
Probably for the best. There's one which he does get
So
the cannon
like
soldier.
I think he has no other choice. That's the only monster left that could be searched with Sangan. Maybe. I'm not sure. There could be like flip effects, there could be
Mm-hmm.
Giant Soldier of Stone. Okay.
Ooh, the most delinquent of duos. Now he
Wow,
has that's it. That's game.
yeah, that's brutal. So Ben used all the unholy treasures, all of them.
Unless this is a stone.
That's that's brutal. Yeah.
What could this last card be? Is this Heart of the Cards? Does Arados have a dark hole?
Uh,
He's holding
Maybe
on
he
to
drew
it
premature. Yeah.
because he still has
Maybe
plenty of
he
power
just
cards in deck. And he's looking at something. Is it a reborn? Is it a premature? We know the
painful
reborn
choice. I don't know.
could be. It's probably a spell.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Yep, that's it. Good
yeah.
first game. It was very it's always exciting to see someone pilot a ritual deck um, well, especially in like earlier formats of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm.
And you can tell
And like the funny,
Rados knows what he's doing too.
yeah, like they're both the most experienced duelists in the format, and they played each other the most. And this is actually a rematch because they already met in winners finals, and obviously B-Sox won that. So B-Sox is coming from the winner's side, Aritus from the loser's side or redemption side,
Mm.
and Aritus needs to win twice, 2 matches in a row, and now Aritus also needs to win 2 games in a row. So backs against the wall.
Yes, but confiscation is a great start. Gives
Yeah.
you advantage and you can discard a card, which in a ritual deck is Tough. What's up, Rain Dance? Kings, B Sox rocking the relinquish deck. He sure is. Very spicy. Maybe one day
Yeah,
we'll
very spicy. And
maybe one day we'll see
like
Crab Turtle
Bsock
beat
said,
down.
yeah, Hungry Burger Turbo. Like Bsock said, he chose the deck because like he did not want to get into grand finals again because he wanted to do the stream himself.
Hmm.
But like I suggested because like it happened anyway, so I suggested like you do the stream because like you've been pushing the retro Yu-Gi-Oh topic
Mm-hmm.
possibly longer than anyone else, right?
Right.
And so I think this is a good solution too because personally, like I want to play, I want to see B-Sox compete and like to the fullest of his like ability, full
Oh,
force,
yeah,
no
absolutely.
no hold back.
Especially if you're playing the
And
format
like
so much.
yeah, like I think this is the most entertaining to see him actually play and like push himself, push everyone else.
Yeah.
Also to see Aritas play at
Sh-
full force.
It
And
shows
like
it shows that he's not just full of crap.
right. But like this time he shows relinquished because he wanted to handicap himself. So and we see how that turned out. Like
Sends a sonic
he's
bird.
about yeah, he's about to sweep the whole tournament with relinquished, surprisingly.
Don't you hate when you accidentally get to the grand finals?
Yeah.
Such a terrible swing of luck B Sox has. I'm excited to see like him in the finals. I mean, both these guys. I mean, they are the destined rivals
Mhm.
of like 2002 Yu-Gi-Oh, and uh, you know it's clearly B Sox has a history of just really learning the formats he does. You look at some of his
Yeah.
early critter format videos, and he was struggling at first, and see where he's now, especially with Imperial format, which is a format that, in terms of competitive play, it's very in its infancy still.
It's
We we
yeah.
we have we do have critter format, we do have the more hovering Android format, but this is such a interesting kind of handicapped Android format in a way, without the three-way between
Power
like
triangle.
Kaiku and
Yeah.
Bazoo and Gemini Elf.
Right. Um so painful choice.
A very powerful card. Sending Trap Hole, Magician of Faith, Forceful Sentry, and Delinquent Duo. What will he pick? Probably Trap Hole?
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep, he
Yeah.
chooses Trap Hole. Solid choice. Now we can kind of play around that a little bit. But you have to wonder, why did Arados pick Sonic Bird? What does that necessarily mean? Does that mean that perhaps B-Sox doesn't have anything else in his hand for the ritual? Nope, Chaos Monsters is not legal. It would be another year and a half or so before Chaos Monsters. It was that March
Like
2004, I believe, February 2004, something like
uh
that.
yeah. Well, this is wild. Like B-Sox just played Dark
Ooh,
Hole on a set Man Eater Bug.
man,
Like maybe he was fearing Magician of Faith, even though one of them is already in the GY.
yeah, he knows he
And like
sent. Well, yeah, if he sent Faith, there's either a chance that I mean, he either has Faith or he doesn't. But with a set monster, like what else would he want to be setting?
well, you might just bluff, bluff.
Mm-hmm.
Semi-bluff.
It,
Um
I mean, it's sort of worked out for him in a way.
yeah. That's a good trade. Trading a bug for Dark Hole is good.
And he's firing back with his own treasure in the Forceful
Mhm.
Sentry. Yes, yes, Red Eyes. It is very like a treasure android hybrid or magic form, however, whichever name you get that. I mean,
Yeah.
I need to talk to Jazz about some format library stuff, which I keep reminding myself every single week. I have a idea I want to run past him involving some formats. But in Forceful Sentry, will shuffle a card back in the deck, so it doesn't get rid of it for good, but depending on his hand, that might be a good thing in case he has a premature. He's reborn, mirroring his choice in the last duel. So what's up, Hustler Horse Rudiger? I feel like Sonic Bird should be blue and have a skateboard. uh, if you want a blue Sonic
Yeah,
Bird, there is a retrain that came out like a year or two ago called Transonic Bird. So it's not
really.
blue, but it's the card is blue. So
Mm.
there's your consolation prize.
All right. They
Raigeki,
remake
ooh.
Yo,
Hitting a Faith and a
hitting the
Sangan.
face. That's nice. Yeah.
This is a very
Wow.
back and forth power cards between the two. You activate Confiscation, I
Yeah.
activate Force of Sentry, I activate Dark Hole, you activate Raigeki. It's very back and forth. And life points is very, very still anyone's game.
Right.
Sonic Yu-Gi-Oh crossover when? I think that's called Sonic Chew. History of YGO1 says Sonic Bird was ripped likely because Aratos wanted to keep Esox off of his combo. Yeah. Yeah, if he ripped Sonic
Yeah.
Bird, he probably knows that, or he probably tells us that Esox probably doesn't have any of his other pieces in hand,
Mm.
or the key pieces anyway. Ooh, Pot
Yeah. I
of
just
Greed.
realized, like, yeah, that's good. Blas also posting things in Watcher's chat. So,
Yeah, but Blod knows what he's talking about as well.
yeah, I suppose. Let's see. Um, ooh, getting back Dark Hole.
That's a nice Dark
So,
Hole.
okay, so apparently, like, B-Sox had maybe had the Magicians of Faith all along, but like when Aratus played the Confiscation, his hand might have been bricked, but then he drew into Dark Hole.
Yeah, and that's a great Dark
Yeah,
Hole because he wouldn't have committed like Tomato and Chaser board if he knew he had Dark Hole before.
yeah, that sucks from Aratus' perspective. He can't even search a new monster.
Yeah, that's that's
Hmm.
that's the dynamic between Sangana Witch and then Tomatoes. It's take and give. They both have their own searching abilities, and Dark Hole is great for one, but perhaps not the other. And B Sox managed to use it at the right time. But as one is sent, we see another Tomato.
Yeah. So what will he get? Will he get Sanju? Yeah.
Senju. I'm curious
Maybe
on
he
the
hard threw into the
ratios.
ritual spell.
It's been a duel of haymakers. Yeah, it really has. I mean, this still feels
Hmm.
like you definitely get that 2002 sense of Yu-Gi-Oh. At least in the sense of like creator format or like Magic Ruler, where it is very low attackers, just kind of punching each other until one deck runs out of steam. And the nice thing about rituals, or perhaps the intriguing part about it, is that you do need Imperial Order to stop it. Ugh.
Yeah.
Speaking of the format,
So
I was gonna say
will
it's
Bezos have the MSP?
you do use a lot of resources for rituals, but you do have cards that get you resources, which is nice. But Imperial Order just completely
Mm.
shuts the game plan off.
Yes. So now Aratos should be ahead. Tomato crashes with Sanju, gets another tomato, I suppose.
Yes,
There's one tomato left. Um,
and it's not
like that's the
just
question. Does Aratus want to get another tomato, or does he want to go into Cannon Soldier, Sangan Witch? Because like maybe you want to, yeah, you want to hard draw the tomato to clear
mhm.
a possible second Sanju or Sonic Bird that B-Sox might draw into. Like this is smarter.
Yes, and it was a great
Hmm.
activation because he activated when B Sox used Black Illusion, so that illusion just completely gets negated.
Yeah. Um, I don't know how Beesorks would have sided if he sided in Dust Tornadoes, because like I fear that Beesorks has no out to this Imperial Order, and like he's just going to lose now,
Hmm.
slowly but surely. Oh,
Well, we
interesting,
haven't
said Tomato.
seen any backward destruction on B Sox's side, really any side yet. So surely he has to be
Yeah,
playing a relative amount. I would imagine B Sox would probably understand that yes, Imperial Order is. I mean, it's the namesake of the format. It completely shuts
suppressive.
off,
Yeah.
especially in a ritual deck when you need those key ritual spells.
So like setting the tomato was optimal here, I guess. He could play around the trap hole, which is probably the set card that Aratus has here.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, we still haven't seen that yet. Oh, we still have not seen the activated one.
yeah. Uh, Aratus chose not to trap hole the Janjo, of course. He's saving the trap hole, but like Besox is not giving Aratus many good targets for his trap hole anyway. Relinquish
Oh,
can't be trap hole.
he's sending Imperial
Ooh,
Order to Heavy Storm instead, and that is game.
what was that?
That is fascinating.
Hmm.
I
So good duels.
I wonder what that was. Perhaps that was a bluff Black Illusion ritual. When that was destroyed, maybe he
Yeah.
realized, well, I can't use my win con anymore. Perhaps.
I suppose like obviously Aratus is going in for the kill,
Mm-hmm.
and apparently Aratus is reading that Besox doesn't play Wabaku, and like no Kuribo.
Yeah. What do you side into this from a relinquished deck?
Yeah.
Like, is he doing like a smoke screen type of deal? Is he sticking with relinquished? Like, how do you deal with all these haymakers? This tomato control is definitely a powerful deck. I mean, we've seen relinquish work, but we also see the problems that can arise with it, especially in game two. B Sox is done sighting. Arados is taking a little bit longer. Figure out what he's need. I wonder if B Sox is gonna sight in more back row destruction.
Mm. He might change nothing. I have no idea. Um,
Yeah, as long as Arados
okay.
can keep off those ritual spells, he'll be good. Like, does he even side into more negation cards like Magic Jammer or Magic Drain? Gotta wonder. And then treasure. Everyone's just drawing to the treasures right off the bat. Right off the bat.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
perfect.
now,
I mean, like chances are like 60% or something like that to open treasures. And like already by this format we have so much power spells. Like even in the previous format treasure,
mhm.
uh like you basically had the same spell lineup.
Yeah,
And it's
everything
just
is a
oh
power spell.
yeah. Everything is a power spell almost at this point. Like who's really playing Fissure anymore, right?
Hmm.
If you can just play something that's much more broken.
Yeah, and with Fisher, you may only see like one of if you need to take care of like a Jinzo or something. Um,
Right.
Sox sends Duo, and the other cards is Magician of Faith. Is he saying two Faiths or two Chasers and a Bug?
Yeah, it looks like two Faith
Okay, so
because it's morph times two and not two times mech. Wow.
I guess we'll find out. But yeah, the Crash Chasers. That is a car crash, and he's setting. So that's probably a Faith. No, why? No, he wouldn't set a Faith if he knows that he has Faith though, with no spells in Grave.
Yeah. Logically must be the bug. which is alright.
Perhaps he's setting
Hmm.
another card just to try and bait a knockout. There's the Witch. Two Faith. History of Yugioh says. Okay. Yeah, this is a very important duel right now because it's 1-1 and Arados kind of has to win this to advance.
Yeah. Advance to the second round of grand finals. Aritos can do it.
Yeah, Arados definitely has the ability to do it for sure.
Yeah. Like, I got faith in Aritos and he even got 2 of them, right?
With Two Faiths, not really much you can do with that, though. I mean, he drew into a Witch.
Yeah, unfortunately. He has to draw anything at
Although,
this point, any kind of spell.
plus side, though, if one gets knocked, then you still have the other in hand.
Yeah.
It's relinquished with the Senju.
Right.
Shout out to the recently released 10 Trillion Hands card.
So I say he attacks the face down, like he's thinking. No, he
Yep,
attacks the
attacks
witch.
a Witch. Just
But
attack
like
the
which
option
which
you
will go
know.
into tomato. Yeah. Like maybe be so excited in trap holes now. Who knows?
Perhaps. Beastox does have 2 face downs. Arados has a face down too, but he hasn't activated anything yet. Not that you would necessarily want to trap hole a Senju because it's still gets its effect off.
Right. And like you can always just crash tomato into Sanju, and that's what you want to do to get some value out of it. Blind dust
Ooh,
on the order.
Imperial Order. That's a good dust. Get rid of one of
Yeah.
the power trap cards.
Well, I was going to say we don't know if it is a good
Mass
dust because the other card
Sorcerer.
might have been Mirror
Hmm.
Force, but it isn't. So Mass Sorcerer, you gain back some of the momentum, but like no back row. So Beasox can just put down anything. Sangan Witch, Sonic Bird. Anything beats over the Mass Sorcerer.
Yes.
He's not going to stay.
It makes me wonder what that face down was because, I mean, it could potentially be a Mirror Force, but if he didn't activate it for the Mass Sorcerer, then he certainly has a beater that he just feels safer just to
Yeah.
do and says, okay, he can get that card. I'm confident in my hand. But again, we don't know what that face down card is. We haven't seen that other face down card from him either on Arado's side. Like, it could be Man-Eater Bug. There's a good chance it is.
It must be.
Snatch Seal. He's going to tribute this off for, nope, just Battle Phase. He probably thinks it's a Man-Eater Bug, and it is a Man-Eater Bug.
It's very good, like 1 for 2 trade, 2 for 1.
Yeah, you get rid of
That's
Mass Sorcerer, get a bug, and now Arados has a completely empty field, except for Sangan now.
So it's just 1,000 points of damage. Still looking good for Beasox.
Yep, any field
like
presence.
The game is still wide open. Yeah. Game is still wide open. Like personally, I hope that Aritus wins this somehow, so we can have another round of grand finals.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I like to see this go the distance. And Reyes is just filling up his field again, and all of a sudden he looks much more healthy with the monster on field. Just inflicted within 2 turns, 2k damage.
Yeah, and like lots of cards on both sides. Everyone is at 7. Like Beasox now at 8 even.
Yeah, Beasox has a lot of cards in hand too. I wonder what he's. It's all just ritual pieces he's just breaking into, or what? Because if it was a monster, he would have summoned probably anything.
So the face down on Aritus' side. That's weird. What is the face down on Aritus' side? Did Aritus draw another Man-Eater Bug? Okay. This is a thinker, apparently. Like, maybe Beasox is thinking, maybe he has, like, double relinquished and the ritual too, and he's thinking, like, should I discard one for the other, and then if I do, what card will I suck up? No.
He's using Raigeki. Since
yeah, that's okay, and this was a Faith. So weird. Why did Aratus set the Faith? Was he setting up some play for the next turn? Or was it just
Perhaps
precisely
he was bluffing a knock. Because again,
right?
we know he has a faith in hand, so he figured, well, if I can get a knock out of the way, I still have a faith to use.
I'm not sure if B-Sox even plays knock, or like if he sided it in.
We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
From B-Sox side, we know Rados plays it. He's typhooning premature.
So
Just gets that out of the way.
good. Yeah. B-Stocks is thinking, so maybe he's thinking about activating Mirror Force here, but like, no, if he has Mirror Force, you activate it right away. So what is he thinking about? Does he have Call of the Haunted? But even if you have that, you just activate it right away. Like, you just need to protect yourself.
He does have
That's what he does.
call. Going to get the mechanical chaser, but that's also going to be hit, mirroring B-Sox's play for a revival card.
Yes. So Aratus is putting B-Sox on a clock. Let's see. Let's go.
Yeah, we're looking at 6,900 life points versus 2,600. It's still not over yet.
Wow.
But Arados has maintained monster pressure for a numerous amount of turns at this point.
Yeah. It's not over, not over, not over yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, 1,200. Now you're in cannon soldier range.
So B-Sox, in fact, sided in the Dust Tornado.
But he's using all of them not on an Imperial order, which we have not seen yet. So B-Sox is kind of like he's having to use these cards. Like he can't hold on to everything at this point.
Right.
Like we've seen Call on his side. You see a Sonic Bird, which will get him. Black Illusion
the
Ritual.
face down, but the face down is like the next Magician of Faith. Like luckily the Magician of Faith cannot get back anything too broken. But like MST or Premature is both dangerous at this point. If B-Sox doesn't have Mirror Force Wabaku, like he could not there's a possibility he does not survive. But alright.
Sending a Relinquish to summon a Relinquished.
Yeah. One for the other, sucking up Tomato. Okay. So it looks like Ben is going to live another turn.
Yeah, I guess he figures that's a faith, and if it's Typhoon or Premature, then he's fine, because he has Relinquished on field currently.
Well, funny enough, like the MST, you can MST the Tomato.
Ceasefire.
Ceasefire.
That will stop the faith. B-Sox says misplay on his part.
Wow. Okay, Aratus still has board clear. Regeki Darkhole, Mirror Force, it's all still there.
With 3 or really 4 questionable cards. Ooh, a Heavy Storm. That's gonna hurt Relinquished for sure. Sending a Snatch Steal. Face down Snatch Steal. Ooh. Yep, and that's the match.
Yeah. Now awesome. Like that was great.
Jinzo.
He Heavy Storms the Tomato and then just attacks into it for game. That's great.
And that's the problem with Relinquish, that you still face back row hate for that monster.
Yeah, and like sucking out the Tomato with Relinquished is good, but if they have another Tomato, they can just crash into it, summon something else, kill the Relinquished, deal a good amount of damage.
Yeah, Relinquish is not Thousand Eyes Restrict. Like it's definitely a different play style than something you would see in Goat format.
But like that makes Relinquished interesting in its own right. Definitely, it's like not just a worse version of Thousand Eyes Restrict. It's like its own thing, its own spin on the idea.
Yeah. So Maneater to Senju, and it's cool seeing a Relinquish deck in the the finals.
Yeah.
Because anyone who's interested in getting this format, like you could run a relinquish deck. It's so plausible in this 2000 in the last of the 2002 formats of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is very exciting to see.
Yeah, like I said earlier, like B-Sox chose Relinquish because he thought it's a rogue deck, it's not that good, and like he wanted to handicap himself a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, but like maybe he was just completely wrong. Maybe Relinquished is, let's say, bottom of tier one. Who knows?
There's definitely a consideration for that. Yeah, again, all depends on your
Um,
deck build. Like if you go all into it, yeah, perhaps it's not as good. But if you still kind of run it as a like an engine with the tomato engine, which we're
yeah.
we're seeing, it's a good way to clear monsters,
So
to have cards to search other cards out. It does have its own benefits from it.
yeah, Sonic Bird. So
Speaking of generating cards, again, that 1400, it's a very nice attack. Like if it was 1500,
yeah,
it'd be kind of
that
nuts.
would be broken. That
Yeah.
would be broken.
But
We
14, so
cannot
like
do that.
it's a really fair card when you think about it. It gets you a specific thing from your deck, and
Damn, not here.
oh, I think that was someone
Ritual right
falling up.
away.
That
Yeah.
scared me. I don't forgot I still had like my
Think on cost, like
alerts
he's
on.
thinking about like should he discard his Magician of Faith, I assume, or should he distribute Sonic Bird? That's what he's thinking about. What does he want?
Hmm.
Does he want board presence and like push for some damage? Or like
Well, we know
jab a little?
Arados's
No.
hand. So okay, it's gonna use Sonic Bird. But yeah, I was saying, it was nice thing about Sonic Bird is that yeah, it does have like
Ooh,
a decent attack and get you
that
something
was
from
good
the deck.
relinquished. That was good relinquished. Like if that morphing jar would have gone off.
Oof. Yeah, Morphing Jar on a against a deck that you get pieces to hand for your combo, like against any combo decks, very scary.
Mm. So B-Sox in grand finals again. For the first tournament that we had, the treasure tournament, he also reached grand finals and also from the winner's side. And like same story, he chose a deck that he thought was going to be like not as competitive as the others. In that case, it was Burn, and like it turns out, it's one of the best decks
Mm-hmm.
of the format.
Yeah, history of Yugioh brings up a good point. Is that in this format, Witch goes to one, which doesn't make rituals as good in that sense. However, you do get more graveyard recursion cards like Call of the Haunted, Premature Burial, Shallow Grave, all things that you can use for Relinquished. Which we haven't really seen
Mm.
anything too spicy from this, but I think that's why the deck is working as it is.
So I'm seeing Clody joining the Watchers chat. Shout out to them. I think they placed fourth overall. So they also had a good run. And they say, reminds me of Danny versus DK. Yep. Just like last stream that was just 2 weeks ago. Like back-to-back streams. And just like them,
Yeah,
it's all wide open.
wasn't that long ago when we had the Android finals? Just a few weeks
Yeah,
ago.
because 2 weeks ago, like I looked it up.
Uh,
Apparently on YouTube it says 2 weeks, so it might
uh,
be 2.5. I don't remember.
that's crazy. I was living in a totally different state by that point. On my
Really, did you move?
yep moved last couple weeks now because when we're doing the Android,
Okay.
I was on my little bar area, my kitchen on a laptop, my laptop mic. And now I'm actually at my whole setup in a whole new place.
Okay, okay.
Here comes Senju.
So, right. Sanju for another relinquished. Will he play it immediately? Does he have another illusion ritual
I
to
want to
suck up the
say
face?
perhaps I don't know. It depends how hard you want because you're using 2 relinquishes
Yes.
to get into 2 face down monsters. I don't know if that's the best play.
No, wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Uh, very interesting. The set was a tomato. Hmm. Okay.
Question is, what does the tomato do now? You might want to crash into
Run
the
into
Senju.
Senju.
Or,
Or do you want to kill?
oh no, he's just
I
going for the
mean,
Senju.
yeah,
And
but
then
because
get the
like he can kill
witch.
the relinquished either
Yep.
way.
There goes relinquished.
Uh,
And then
so
a
Ben is going to have.
duo.
Okay. I was going to say Ben is going to have 6 cards on his draw, but no.
Ooh, hits the
He's going to.
black illusion,
Ooh,
and there goes the following
yeah.
relinquish. So we have 2 black illusions and relinquishes in grave.
But we also have like 2 Sanchos and 1 Sonic Bird, so there's just 1 dead card left in Visok's deck. Like it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been worse. Like the dude could have hit something
Yeah, and
more
now we
powerful.
see the strong core of tomato control because he just summoned
Yeah.
tomato, and you're just like, all right, I guess I'll just attack. It works.
So basically, like at this point, it's just a tomato mirror now. That's funny.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing this game where B-Sox drew into many of his combo pieces, whereas the last game or two wasn't quite as consistent. Although B-Sox can bring back at least 1 relinquish from the grave, though, with a premature call.
Wow.
Monster
Ooh.
Reborn.
Wow.
Oh, ooh.
Oh, OTK play. Very nice.
Yikes.
So good game.
B-Sox is
Insane.
just sitting
He's
there, is like,
calculated.
oh god, oh god. 7,300.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Like quick calculation, 4 monsters is 2,000, so 5,000 left, and yeah, 15 times 4 is also 6,000. So
Yeah, Cannon Soldier still very strong.
yeah, I was going to say earlier, like we don't see as much OTK play as we saw in Critter because people don't play Solemn Judgment all that much anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
like you don't
Yeah, you don't quite
maybe
see
like that's
like
one.
you don't quite see Turtle OTK or Exodia that kind of
Yeah,
deal.
and like maybe people don't play Magician of Fate that much anymore, so you don't see like Call of the Hound, not Call of the Hound. I always confuse those. COH, Change of Heart on a Magician.
Another first turn treasure.
Yeah,
That's wild.
every time.
This unholy trinity will not stay in the deck. Sending a snatch,
So
steal, and a cannon
too good,
soldier, which
too good cards, too good.
does make Faith alive now though,
Yeah,
which is more than Arados probably could have said recently.
yeah.
Though Chaser's a great start,
Oh.
and
Wow.
there's a knock with a ceasefire flipping that so it doesn't get banished now.
No.
Interesting. Although now, if you're Rados, you feel a bit more safe setting monsters with knowing ceasefire is in grave. Attacking the sand game, which will probably get him one of the ritual monsters.
Like I'm surprised Eritus even has the Nobleman.
Oh no, gone tomato. Okay. Yeah, Rayo seems to have been keeping the nobleman in his deck.
Yeah, like it doesn't help with the relinquished, but it worked out well, I guess. Maybe. I mean, like it traded 1 for 1. It's okay. At least it didn't do nothing. At least it didn't stay on his hand as a brick.
Yeah, because the nice thing with the ritual searchers is that they can be flipped to activate their effects. So perhaps Arados kind of understands, like, hey, if I'm just attacking over and he needs to set something, if you knock it, it's still getting rid of it. Which is more unlikely than Beesawk's just normal summoning it, but is a choice.
Yeah, no, like the
Ooh,
rituals
it's a blank.
summoners, they the ritual tutors, they need to be normal summoned or flip summoned, right? They don't work as
Yes.
flip effects.
Yes.
So Besox will summon them every single time just to thin his deck, get his pieces. Like he doesn't have much of a
Mm-hmm.
choice. Okay,
That is
Eritos has
true.
3 cards. Besox will have
He gets the
5
Jinzo.
on his turn. Mm.
Is that saying
So Besox
change of
still,
heart or snatch steal?
yeah, Snatch Steal probably,
Or
or
reborn? That works too. Get a witch, perhaps.
yeah, Witch Tribute Witch for
Arados is thinking, though.
the Jinzo.
Could this be solemn?
We haven't seen a single Solemn, so I say no. But like, what else is he thinking about?
He could have cited it in, because if he, or any sort of spell negation, I mean, it's great against
Yeah,
a ritual deck.
Magic Drain. Like Magic Drain even is better against a ritual deck than any other, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, I would agree with that,
Maybe
because if you're.
maybe or maybe not. Like you can also help them to like
Whatever it was, he lets it go through because he knew that
infallibility.
Jinzo was
Yeah,
incoming, which is
yeah.
interesting. So whatever that face down is, which is probably a trap card, seems to be
Maybe it's
dead.
like Call of the Haunted, and he was just thinking about like, should I activate it now to get another body on the field to protect myself?
Mm. Yeah, it could be
If it
Imperial.
is Call of the Haunted, I might have done that.
Could be Imperial
Flipping
Order.
Imperial
Is
Order
is Magic
does nothing.
Magic Drain's legal,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yeah, it is legal with this set, with Pharaoh's Servant is the
Yeah.
first set.
'Cause-
And like we saw some Magic Drain play during the tournament, but
yeah, Pharaoh
like
Servant.
Magic Drain is not that powerful here because people I think tend to play a lot of spells and not that many trap cards because of how oppressive
Yeah.
Jinzo is.
Magic Drain might be good against ritual decks too, because again, you need a lot of specific spell cards and protection. So if you can like force something from your opponent to just get rid of, then it's good in that regard. But it's not a very common card we see within all the negation. Typically,
Like
you have Imperial Order and you're good.
yeah, but as we've seen before, like a lot of times what Bsox will do is just he will discard one relinquished for the other, and he will say, well, okay, the other ritual spell card, it's going to be that. But like
Mm.
I'm just not going to draw into it.
Yeah, Beaslocks has a healthy hand, and he's just going to go for relinquish. He figures, well, trap cards are off, so let's just go into it.
Right. Trap cards don't exist. We're just going to go into tomato.
Interesting
The
taking
set
the
might be
tomato.
meant.
Yeah,
Whoa, if that set is a fave, like, come on, one time, let the set be a fave. Get back the Snatch Steal.
it's a man eater.
Okay.
Getting rid of the Jinzo, which is a fair target. Traps are back on.
Yeah.
So now you get 28 to the face, or 15, or 14. Can't blah 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 blah. Math.
Eritas lost. Yeah. All right. 1400. What is the stat? Hmm.
It seems to be something you probably could have chained to Reborn, so it's a good chance it
Yeah, so I'm
could have been
thinking
Imperial Order.
no, like that wouldn't have done anything, right, with Jins on the field.
Well,
So I'm
if he
thinking,
used it against Monster Reborn before Chainsaw hit the field, he was probably considering it.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
He probably figured, well, I have a Man Eater bug,
Oh,
or maybe perhaps
yeah,
use
yeah,
that.
I misremembered. Yeah, that would have been good, but like then he wouldn't have thought about it. So he thought about it. So I think maybe Call of the Haunted would have been really good because like he needs a monster now to kill Relinquish, but he doesn't need it now.
I don't
Like
know.
Relinquish is not going to do
'Cause
anything. But
if it's
yeah,
if it's
okay,
Call, it wouldn't really have done anything against a Jinzo.
no. just another body on the field, but like just to live a little bit longer. Yeah, it is
Oh,
call.
yep, it is call. You guessed it. Gonna
No,
get hit by
dust tornado.
a dusty tornado.
Like now it is too late. Ah,
Yeah, and you have a relinquish with nothing sucked up at the moment, which leaves it kind of naked. A dark
vulnerable.
hole that will
Yeah.
just completely reset the dark hole envoy
Yeah.
of the end right here. Which
But
B-Sox
like story of the
is.
game, B-Sox is ahead by 2 cards on his turn, or like
He's.
one and a half in card advantage.
Is this a faith
However you
he
want to.
sets? It is a faith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
What will he choose?
Reborn. Yeah.
Probably reborn. Yep.
Yeah. Unless he.
Jinzo, I would
But
think.
like,
Yep.
yeah, Jinzo.
It's not OTK yet.
It's a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, with no
Like,
traps, he's got to have Raigeki
yeah.
or
Like,
a
unfortunately,
tomato.
this format we don't have scapegoat yet. So like, what are you going to do once Jinzo hits the field? Like,
Got to be running that fissure or tribute to the doomed. I mean, he could still kind of stall out another turn if he has some sort
yeah,
of
like,
just basic searcher recruiter. But if
well,
B-Sox
he
starts
needs
summoning more monsters, then that completely moots the point.
Man Eater Bug. Maybe like definitely needs Regeki,
Yeah, which
but
would
I don't
it
think he has it.
seems yeah, because it seems like B-Sox isn't running Nobleman of Crossout, so those flip monsters are a little bit more safe, especially since we know that Ceasefire is in the graveyard.
I mean, whatever it is, Bezox is like in the driver's seat, and Aritus just has to do what he has to do to survive. Like
Yeah,
that set
I
could be anything.
and Areas is already down a game too. Oh, and that's it.
Yeah.
I
GG.
mean,
So
B-Sox is down a game, not Arenas. Excuse me. So once again, 1-1 in the grand finals.
perfect.
Yeah, you can't ask for a more back and forth duel than the two destined
Yes.
rivals.
And now, actually, for the final game, the deciding game, Aritus is going to go first. So they're up half a card in card advantage, or like a full card on their turn.
Mm-hmm.
So it is looking good for them.
Yeah, we haven't seen any heavy side deck choices. At least not that I've noticed. Perhaps aside from maybe like some dust tornadoes.
Yeah, there's minimal sideboarding going on. Nothing crazy, no conversion sides on Besock's part. Because like when he played the treasure tournament, he would conversion side from burn into tomato control. But this time he's sticking with relinquished, even if he's going second. Maybe not this time.
Starts with a
Let's find out.
painful choice. A turn one painful choice is
Mhm.
great because that's just 5 cards. You just get out of the way.
Yeah. So what will he get? I would say Trinity, so treasures, I mean, in this format, unholy treasures. And then 2 more, maybe a faith.
Yeah,
What else?
perhaps Ceasefire was cited. And see, we're seeing a duo, confiscation, forceful sentry, pot of greed,
Hor-
imperial. A very painful
Heavy
choice indeed, but
painful.
this also shows the
Yeah.
format where it's just nothing but power cards. What will
So
he
Bsox will
choose?
choose.
Pot of
Yeah, Bsox
greed,
will choose.
maybe?
No,
Guess the
it's too powerful. Like he will choose forceful sentry or confiscation, depending on his hand. But probably the confiscation, because like at least Aritus would lose 1,000 life points.
well, I think it depends on
So
Beastox's hand because if you have
yeah,
your ritual
true.
pieces, you don't want them to go to the graveyard.
Right. You rather want them to go to the deck. Right. So it's a painful choice, but like he absolutely cannot give Aritus duo or pod because like then Aritus would be ahead
Yeah,
in card advantage 1.5 pieces or 2 on
yeah.
his turn.
You definitely don't want the
That
Imperial
would be
Order. Yeah.
quite devastating, and Imperial Order would be certain death, probably. Like we don't know if Bsox says MST, then like choosing order is alright.
He did choose pot. Hey, I called it.
Really?
It was
Wow.
I because you got to figure with the combo deck, you really don't want to lose any of your pieces. I mean, you don't know what Beasox's hand is.
No.
So at least with pot agree,
Well,
it's
I
like
think
they get cards, but at least you don't have to worry about hand rips.
yeah, but I think now we know what his hand is. Like it's cards that he cannot afford to lose. Yep, and there's the fave.
Oh, you hate to see it.
Heading back to duo.
There's only
Yeah.
so much
So
you
maybe
can.
oh
Oh, and then he's gonna duo. Interesting.
Eritas says no shuffling of hand, but like Vsauce is fair and he's rolling the dice. Okay, there's the Stone Soldier. First
Oh,
time that we see that.
yeah, he's running Stone, which is a great protection against a relinquished.
Yeah.
Because unless they suck up a Jinzo, it's hard to beat over that. And a Forceful
Mm.
Sentry.
Mm.
Ripping apart his hand.
Cool. So now he's choosing duel maybe to protect his hand.
Choosing Faith, just yeah, doesn't want to get back any more power spells.
So he doesn't have an immediate answer to the Faith. Then he's going to set some to play around the duel. He's going to set two. Yeah. Maybe you set two. Like you offer Aratus a trade.
Perhaps
They
it.
have Heavy Storm. Oh, order, MST. Come on, one time MST. No?
Nope,
No.
no MSC.
But like, it doesn't really matter. It's looking good for Aratus. Like, Aratus already lost a lot of his spell cards
Mm-hmm.
anyway. Like, order is negating more cards in Bezoar's deck than in Aratus' deck at this point.
Yeah,
So
this is true. That painful choice really helped sort of play around Imperial Order in a way.
yeah, that worked out great.
Although we do know that he
Um,
does have a duo in hand that's currently dead.
so they're trading down on tomatoes, which is like okay, but like in the long run, if Bezox can recover, um, like that's kind of not great. Now Aratus couldn't crash tomatoes with Sandshrews and birds, or like
Yeah, we had a tomato sale and the witches showed up.
relinquished. Yeah. So Aratus is not going to attack into that.
Set a face down.
Right.
Could be a bluff. I wouldn't be surprised.
Sure. So is Besorg's going to keep the order or not? Because like 700 is 10% of his life points. It is not negligible, but he chooses to pay.
Yeah, I mean at this point, they're fairly even on cards. So why not just stall it out a
So
little bit so you can get your pieces at least?
yeah,
I mean, as long as Imperial Order is on there, you don't have to worry about because Laredo still can use power spells. Like he still has plenty of cards that he could potentially use. And again, we know Delinquent Duo's in hand, and if that card he has is like a Black Illusion Ritual let's say it's a Relinquish, so we can't set it. He doesn't want to lose it.
okay. So this is going to go on for a little bit longer. Apparently, this is going to
See a glitch on
maybe
Rados' life points. He does not have 4,
yeah.
6, 8, 6.
Okay, I don't see the glitch. I see 8,000.
Oh. I'm sure it'll fix itself.
So Besox is having 5 cards, 5.5. Like the order is not really doing anything, and it's going to go eventually. Like Besox is not going to be able to afford, or like even probably not willing to pay for it for much longer.
I'm gonna exit out. I just want to re-enter the chat and see if I can fix that weird glitch that's on my end.
Sure. So he's getting the illusion ritual, but like
Nope,
we are not going to see relinquish
didn't fix
this
it.
turn.
Did not fix it. I tried.
Ooh.
Yeah, I guess the Sonic
Sonic
Bird
Bird
attacks
attacking.
Mass Orc.
Yeah, this is great. Like Aritos can wall, and like Bezox is just slowly burning himself every turn.
Mm-hmm. But he does have plenty of life points to use. He's not in a danger zone at the moment, but with that Mass Horse for 1400 defense, you can't attack over it. So what exactly is Bezox doing at this point? That's the issue.
Right.
I mean, perhaps next turn he can relinquish, but like you don't want to play in because there's Imperial Order still on the field, but eventually you're gonna have to stop that if you want to use Black Illusion, and then at that rate, that turns Arados could have Dark Hole, he could have Raigeki. That's a lot of monsters on your field to get hit by a Thunderbolt. Ooh, a Janjo will also shut off Imperial Order though.
So Janjo attack into Bird, I guess.
Probably, yeah.
Getting something from the deck.
Yeah, he's tributed over the Witch. It's a Man-Eater bug.
Okay.
A premature tomato.
Whoa, yes. Sweet. And then
Tomato
crash.
Ooh.
So
dangerous waters.
Yeah. Like getting Cannon Soldier can clear the Witch. Janjo can clear the face down.
This is peak Imperial right now. We got Imperial Order, we got Janjo.
Okay.
I wonder what he thinks that
maybe Aritos
face down is.
Well, it's nothing.
I guess he figures to get Sangan out in case it's a Dark Hole or Raigeki. At least he'll get a search. So
the face down on Bezox's side is Faith, I would say, obviously. It might be Sangan. But like even if it is Faith, like Bezox cannot grab anything too helpful because Bezox needs
it is a Faith. Probably the duo, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Oh no, chose Forceful Sentry. Okay. I guess he just wants to see what's in his hand.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to pay life points anymore. Any further.
There's a
duo.
duo.
Okay, like
that we know was there.
Yeah.
And he sends
like
Senju
not to get.
So he still
not to be fatalistic, but
yes.
This game is probably over.
Yeah, so he still has a Sentry in hand, and Imperial Order is negated, so it just remains on field as a dead card.
Yeah,
Chaser.
So in this format,
is okay, but can't beat over Janjo.
In this format, you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay maintenance costs if Order is negated by Janjo. So it's just going to stay do nothing.
Yeah. I guess he gets to see what two cards he has. At least now we know one of them is not Duo anymore. But if he brought back Duo, that would have been two cards. Although I suppose he doesn't want to pay the 1,000 life points if he's already on a pseudo clock. Yeah, like it could be a 2-turn clock at this point. Bezox obviously doesn't have Mirror Force. He didn't draw into the board wipe. Yeah, and even if he did, he can't activate it because Janjo is on field.
Right. No, that's true. What am I thinking?
And I don't think Bezox sided in Rush recklessly for this very specific situation.
Nah, he didn't. That wouldn't. Okay, send back the bug. Like, I'm not sure how long those two cards have been sitting on the field on Bezox's side.
Like, if Arados has a Chaser, you just crash and just keep attacking. Like, it's Fissure. Okay. You don't need a crash when you got a hole in the ground.
There's the Fissure.
There it is.
GG's.
Brought it back.
Yes.
The face down card was
Yes.
Call and Black Illusion Ritual.
Yeah,
Tomatoes
okay.
are in season, but hey, good showing from both players. We got to grand finals, and B-Sox definitely put
Yeah,
up a
great.
solid fight.
That was great. That was some good games.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
like, do you want to ask them? Yeah, Jesse, do you want to ask them if they want to join for an interview?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If they want to jump in, um,
Yeah, ask them on Discord then. Yeah, I must say, like, I've seen a lot of good dueling this tournament, surprisingly. Like these formats turn out more to be more enjoyable than you might think. Like, of course, there are a lot of games where, like, Jinzo, like in this case, it's just oppressive. It's just
mm-hmm.
deciding.
Let's see. How do I add people on this?
You have to have them as friends. You have to add them as friends first, and then you can add them to the call, I believe.
Okay. Wait a minute. Crap.
I
Let's
don't know.
see. How do I? Where's the add call thing?
Okay,
How do I do this
so
on Discord?
it looks like, yeah, it looks like Relinquished is only like tier 2 after all, like first place of tier 2 from position. But like losing in finals, even though you come from the winner's side, hmm, that's not supposed to happen. Winning RPS, still taking the L, but very good games. Uh, yeah. And Aritos is number 1 on the Imperial leaderboard now, surpassing Beasthawks.
Uh,
Right.
how do I
Um,
do this? This is bugging me. It's not just like an add person to call. I guess this works.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. I
I
will.
mean, you did it with me somehow. So,
Yeah, I can do it with one.
oh wait,
Hello.
Hello. Very good games, by the way. Those were intense.
Yeah, I agree. That was way more intense than it needed to be, as I said.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because I was thinking through those final turns there, and I was like, okay, I can't attack into the witch because if you have Jinzo, then it's all over, right? Jinzo shuts off Io, and you've got so many powerful spells that I then
Hmm.
can't compete. Um, so I was just like playing around, not hitting the witch the entire time, and I was like, if I just draw into, Senju or Relinquish, then I'm fine from here because I've got Black Illusion Ritual set on field. And even like when you summon Jinzo, I was like, okay, as long as they don't hit Senju, I'm good because I can suck up the Jinzo because I've got the ritual set on field, so I don't need to worry about that. And I feel like I'm still somewhat in it. And then
Mm-hmm.
Io's back online as well. Um, but yeah, no, that was an intense finals, intense couple turns.
Yeah, it was almost
Uh,
every game we saw one of the treasures played turn one.
yeah, which is a fun feature of this format for sure. Um,
Yeah, I mean, on my end, I thought the game was pretty lost when I saw the Imperial Order because my hand just played really badly with it. But when the Jinzo was a top deck, and when I saw that card, like I could see that it was a game-changing draw for sure.
oh yeah, um, and maybe I should have sent back the mechanical chaser just in case you had ways to remove my monster. But like, I was like, bug is more problem long term, and if you've got ways to
Mm.
remove my stuff, I'm probably gonna be dead anyways in the next couple turns. Uh,
Yeah, I mean
But
that makes sense. Just hope I don't really have any answers for what you're doing.
yeah,
I mean
but I mean
that
that was
fissure definitely hurt. Like that definitely was like oof.
yeah. You sided well into the relinquished deck. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
like in the first match we played in like winners finals, I was siding in cards and they just weren't working. They weren't doing anything. So I took a different approach to it this time and it was a lot more effective.
yeah.
What did you do in the first game, the first match, the winners final? Like, what did you cite in then? Exchange? Because I saw that in your list.
No, I did not bring that in. I was bringing in
Oh.
trap holes, and then I noticed
Yeah.
like going
They
into
don't do anything.
into game three, I was
Right.
using trap holes on like Manju or Senju,
Yeah.
sorry, and it was like just burning advantage.
So
Yeah.
what did you do differently this time?
I took out all the trap holes and I was using dust tornadoes and I was also using mass sorcerer from the side deck because
Right.
that's very good at just walling Senju, the tomato, like his whole deck.
Yeah. And
Right.
also, I wasn't
It's
expecting it too. And it came in clutch. It got you some draws over the course of those. So, yeah.
nice. And like
Yeah.
Stone Soldier, or was that main? No
One
use.
stone soldier main and one in the side. I did bring in the second, I think 2 games.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And walling up against Relinquished is pretty decent because, like, I don't play many high attack monsters. I can suck up one of yours potentially, but most of yours don't get over stone either.
Yeah, it's
So,
got to be
like,
Jinzo or like nothing.
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
When
Um.
Arados Imperial ordered your Black Illusion Ritual that first time, were you thinking or not Black Illusion Ritual? Sorry, Imperial ordered your. Yeah, no, it was Black Illusion Ritual.
The
Were you thinking like,
yeah
oh
the
crap, I need to put in way more back row destruction for this Imperial Order now because this is really killing the deck.
Yeah, I actually sided in. So since Aratos was on the Cannon Soldier, I was like, maybe the Psalms are a bit less good here. So I sided into some Dust Tornadoes and the Ceasefire that you saw.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, I don't want to go like 6 Spell and Trap removers here. Um, but Ceasefire would be good because I also noticed that they were siding in a bunch of flip monsters too. Um, so, and it did come up in one of the games, although I did misplay it slightly and it didn't matter in the end. But
Yeah,
um,
I was taking out morphing jar and then putting in the third man eater bug as well.
yeah, no, Man Eater Bugs is good against Relinquished as well. I the game that Ceasefire came up though, I was so sad. It was just Brick City. It wasn't even Brick City. It was just like I drew no monsters over the course of that game, which was really rough. Or I had like I think I had a Jinzo in hand, and I think I had some Relinquished as well. No, did I have I'm not even sure I had Relinquished because I searched with or maybe I searched with Senju. I searched with one of the recruiters. But yeah, that was just a rough game. Uh, yeah. So Ceasefire, I'm not sure if it was actually a good decide in or not. But
I mean, it felt pretty good when you used that. Like, I think the game would have been a lot easier if the nobleman went through.
yeah, no, for sure. Like, and that's part of why I had it there. Like, it does play well against Nobleman, which I did notice you siding in as well. So I was like, okay, it might well.
I was actually siding out nobleman. I have 2 in the main. I was going down to 1.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense too. Relinquished only really plays like Magician of Faith. And everything else it doesn't really care about setting or not.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess Tomato.
you definitely see a strength with the relinquished decks, and a lot of the cards they use, your opponent doesn't necessarily want to react to because they're waiting for like those big cards.
Yeah, and also like I think we saw some of the interesting choices that they have to make with hand rips too. Like there was a hand rip that Aratos did. I guess everyone watching couldn't see the hand, but it was a pretty nuts hand, and it also had a Sonic Bird in it. And Aratos picked the Sonic Bird, which I do think actually was the right choice because that really would have turned on a lot of my hand there and set me up for some very crazy potential plays later.
I did have a question. Then this last when you used Faith to bring, and you had the 2 hand rips in Grave. Did you decide to bring back Forceful Sentry for hand knowledge and not to pay life points, or is there a different reason that you didn't pick Duo?
Yeah, it was both of those basically. I was like, I am in such a dangerous position right now that I need to know what Aratos has, and I need to be able to pick the better of the things to send back. Um, and Delinquent Duo would have sent the entire hand to grave like at that point. But I do think that not paying life points helps out a lot as well because I was running very low. Um, so yeah, it was kind of both of those things. Especially like if I did have a way and I wanted to clear the Sangan, then that would also be something there. But I drew Mech Chaser, so I was like, I think it's better just to attack into the Mass Sorcerer instead of just hitting over the Sangan. But yeah, it was kind of a lost cause at that point. No matter what I drew, like Senju would have gotten me a little bit back in the game, but I mean, it was just rough. I guess a board clear would have also gotten me back into the game, but yeah, it was a tough point of the game at that point.
It also seemed that a lot of times when you're using Black Illusion Ritual, you're thinking about, should I use one of the monsters I have on field, like a Senju, or should I use like a Relinquish in hand? How do you go about deciding what to use for your ritual card?
Yeah, it really does depend on the situation at that point. So, like, for instance, if you want to get a lot more aggressive, you can go for something from hand, especially if it's near the end of the game and you're like, I probably won't be using this later, and I want to just hit in a lot now to really put on the pressure. That's when it's really good to use something from hand. But in cases when you potentially know that they've got a tomato, then it can be better just to tribute your Senju or Sonic Bird on field to prevent them from actually being able to crash in and get some value. That's the biggest flaw in this deck, I think, is that the Senjus and the Sonic Birds do just crash with tomato really favorably for your opponent, which is always something you have to kind of play around.
Yeah, but if they're 15k, it'd be a bit too busted. 1500.
Yeah. Like, actually, though, it would make the deck a lot better. That being said, I do think that my experience in this tournament really showed to me that I think the deck is actually like bottom of tier 1. Like,
But
I
like I just argued like it's top of tier 2 because you lost grand finals from loser's side even though you won RPS. It's not a good argument for
I
bottom of tier.
I did, but I also went undefeated in the tournament in Swiss, and
That's
one of the
true, that's true,
games, and I also brought each game of the grand finals to the third game of the match. And one of the
You did
games
well.
in the finals, I just hard bricked. So, and not on like Relinquished itself, just on spells and traps, which the deck is playing a fair number, but I wouldn't say any more so than like a regular good stuff sort of deck.
No,
So
like
I think
the opposite.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I mean any deck can lose in grand finals, especially when you're playing against a great player on a great deck. With Aratos had both of those. So like, I mean you gotta weigh each thing like situationally, right? And I do think that a loss was unfortunate for the deck. Like, it would have been nice just to get the win to say, like, look, see, this clearly is tier 1. But I do think that the performance in the tournament really does show that I think the deck has major potential. And I think with more people experimenting with it, it can definitely be in tier 1.
Yeah, it's great to see something like that for like this kind of format. But I will ask Ratos, when Relinquish hit the field, was your kind of mindset like how to deal with that? Or you're like, oh, what do I have to deal with it? Or do you have like a sort of game plan going in to deal with Relinquished?
Well, I mean, like I said, I had to play him earlier in the tournament, so I felt like I had more knowledge on how to beat Relinquished. But at the same time, I do agree with the assessment that it's a very good deck. Like, when you just play a regular deck, you have a lot of hands where you just like lose to a Mystic Tomato, and Relinquished is really good at just dealing with those. It's very good removal for any situation.
Yeah, and that was my experience just throughout the tournament. And like the flexibility on the deck too is very nice. Just having different lines that you can go through is really cool. And you can order your combos in like many different ways to set up for like different potential board states that your opponent might set up. So I think it's really flexible, and it is a bit difficult to play. I will admit, like, uh, I think if you haven't like practiced with the deck a fair bit or like less familiar with the format as a whole, it can be a tough beginner deck. But I do think that in the hands of someone who's like played the format a lot, it can be pretty good.
Now, do you think moving forward, this will kind of send waves where people start playing that, and then you see more side decking of cards like Magic Drain and Magic Jam, or perhaps Solemn Judgment more?
Well, it's interesting because I was talking to, I'm pretty sure Clody, because Clody was another great player in this tournament, and unfortunately they didn't make it to finals. But they were like, I feel like my deck has a pretty good matchup against your deck. They were playing like hand destruction, which is very true. Like if you discard the relinquished pieces or the rituals, then that's of course disastrous for the relinquished player. But they also mentioned that in the side deck, they also had Giant Trunade. And Giant Trunade is insanely good against Relinquish because not only do you get your monster back to hand, but now Relinquish doesn't have its equip. So you can just attack in over it very easily. So I could definitely see like more Trunades, especially because Trunade is still good against a lot of back row heavy decks as well. So it's very versatile, and it does really hurt the Relinquish deck.
Yeah, we saw that play where he used Relinquish to take a Morphing Jar, and for a combo deck, that's a great monster to take.
Oh yeah, no, I got really lucky with that, and it would have, really surprised me too because Orazes did not set their hand at all. They bluffed it very very well, and it was just funny because I opened that game 2 Senjus and a Sonic Bird, so I was like, well, Relinquish is going online, and I actually had the tools to actually bring out a second Relinquish later in the game, but I decided against it because I had pretty high life points, and I didn't want to play into board clears. And unfortunately, I think like the next turn, Aratos assembled like 7,300 damage on board. So
yeah, Aratos did a great job. Just watching the duel, you'd set up a large board, and Aratos just one turn, he just clears it all.
Yeah. So, kudos. That's a very important skill to have against Relinquished because if you let Relinquished, the different pieces of it stick around for a while, it can be a major problem for you.
Would you maybe go more of like defensive cards moving forward for like a Relinquished build? Because we've seen a lot of what Tomato Control does. The decks are like fairly similar, but with Relinquished, obviously there's still kind of tinkering that can go on with the deck. Or do you think it's just better as more of a lighter engine with Tomato Control?
I think that going forward, the main change I would make is that I did a playset of 3 Solemns in the deck because in Treasure format that was really good at just preserving your board a bit. But given like Janjo makes things a lot more explosive and can shut down your Solemns, I feel like it's a little bit less good in this format. So I think going forward, I'd remove the Solemns and maybe go for things like Waboku or just go for things like Dust Tornado to deal with Imperial Order a bit better because the deck does just lose to Imperial Order. Like the game where Orazes just set up Imperial Order like for a couple turns, I mean that just killed me. To be fair, I drew a spell every turn after Imperial Order was activated, so that helped as well.
I do think Waboku does make sense too, given that a lot of times the Relinquish was destroyed because it was like tomato attack and then into a witch attack or something along those lines.
Yeah, and in Treasure, I think that like my version of the deck that I played in Treasure used Waboku, and it was very, very good. So I do think that Waboku is probably a better option potentially than Solemn in this format. But it is iffy. There's flexibility there.
And I'll turn this over to you, Aratos. Is there anything that things that surprise you about your deck? Is there things that you would want to change? Winning the tournament.
Yeah, I think I would put Nimble Mamanga in the deck. Honestly, I think that card is really strong. I saw someone else play it in the tournament, and every time it was always just the MVP of the game. I think that's a card that should definitely be considered more.
Yeah,
interesting.
And I mean, I think that Mamanga in both Treasure and Imperial is like absolutely insane. I mean, life points matter a lot more in these formats, and also deck thinning is very important. And I think it could even extend into Android a little bit. Like I made a video recently on just playing Mamanga in the regular Beast Spellcaster deck, and it's not bad. So I think it's better than Imperial and Treasure, but I hope that more people experiment with Mamanga in the future because I think it's like got a lot of potential.
Yeah, and we saw with Arados that there's a few times that Cannon Soldier was definitely a threat. And if you had like Mamanga throughout the course of the game, it might not be at that situation, especially in a deck like Relinquish where you kind of need a little bit more turns than the average deck.
Yeah, and I think that it could definitely play it. Maybe swapping out the 3 Solemns for 3 Mamangas could be pretty good. You also get fodder on field to tribute off Relinquished as well, if you want it. So, yeah, I think that Relinquished is definitely a card to experiment with. Or not Relinquished. Mamanga is definitely a card to experiment with in Relinquished.
Now, here's
in the
a
future.
card I've kind of theorized just myself. Ever considered running a Karibo in a Relinquish deck?
I did think about it a little bit because it does pair well with Black Illusion Ritual. But like in playing the Relinquished deck, I've found that most of the time I'm not really too worried about having like tribute fodder or the Black Illusion Rituals. Like the Senjus really help with having tribute fodder on field. And most of the time, like you're not sitting on the Relinquished in hand. If you're playing like the Senju or the Sonic Bird to get that last piece to hand, you're just going for the Relinquished play. But it would be nice because it does play around Jinzo. So that's, and Jinzo can be a big problem, like especially if your opponent's going up for an aggressive push with Jinzo. So it could be an option to consider, but I think it's more just an option to consider in general in this format to see if people would be interested. Because I think it has applications just in every deck potentially. So.
All right.
All right, and have any other questions, DK?
Personally, I would say no. We can wrap this up.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
good.
I
It was a
guess
good
I just
tournament.
yeah.
Was a good stream.
I guess I just want to say one more thing. What do y'all want to see for the future of Imperial format? I noticed recently it got its own slot on format library, which makes me a happy man. That surprised me.
Yeah, shout out to Jazz for setting up the like Imperial format in the Retrobot thing. So we've actually been able to play it ranked on the Yugioh from Zero Discord for the past while. So that's been really nice. And it'll be nice to see the coverage for this, and maybe the tournament coverage will sort of attract more people to try out Imperial because I feel like a lot of people view Imperial as just Android Lite and sort of the first format in Yu-Gi-Oh's history where decks sort of just become like good stuff piles. Like they're called tomato control, but really they're just all the good cards in the format thrown together. And maybe seeing that Relinquished got second place will sort of inspire people to think like, maybe Imperial isn't just good stuff piles. Maybe there's a lot more to experiment with here.
I would definitely like to see more people try to use Relinquished in this format. It's very cool to see that card just be good.
You definitely get a sense of kind of Android Lite, but it's not quite as like changed as Labyrinth of Nightmare affected that format, which is nice because you can see more decks like Relinquished and etc. get a little bit more coverage than it probably would be otherwise in a later format.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, like, Relinquished is like a really exceptionally worthy card for a early Dual Monsters area card, and it's like the first, well, not the first, but it's one of the first big boss monsters with Jinzo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. Yeah, really interesting to see that it can perform well. So that's a crowd pleaser for sure.
Yeah, and it's honestly why I decided to take this deck to the tournament, because I was like, if I get knocked out playing with it, then I get to stream the finals, so I'm fine with that. But it's just such a cool card, so I want to give it representation. And the amount of text on it is actually like really cool. And there was one game where I almost tried going for game by just crashing a 0 attack Relinquished into a monster. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. I think this was actually game 3 of the match me and Aratos played in like Swiss before the finals, where they had a set card and very low life points. And so I was like, I've got a 0 attack relinquished. There are a lot of monsters that if I just attack into that set, they just lose the game here. Unfortunately, it was like the one possible set that would
Yeah,
not
it was
end in that.
it was a Magician of Faith, and then I went down to like 100 life points.
Yeah, so it unfortunately didn't work out, but you know, there's a lot you can do with Relinquished, and I really do think that it adds a lot of complexity to the games. And unfortunately, like, I haven't tested it out in Android yet. I'm very excited to, but I have the sinking suspicion that it will be a bit less good in Android. Because one of the reasons it's so strong in Imperial is you're able to bring it back from the graveyard in so many different ways. Imperial or Android has Kaiku, which can banish it from the graveyard. Android's a lot more explosive, gives yourself less time to set up, and Relinquish does really need that setup time. So, you know, Imperial might be the best form of Relinquished in all these formats. So I hope that people, Relinquish fans, sort of flock to it and experiment with it a bit.
I just opened Android. You cover Mass Beast as well.
Oh, and I'm gonna cover. I'm gonna cover Ritual. Like Mass Beast is so cool, and like it's so big. So I'm definitely planning on covering it. It's definitely easy to make too, because you know the Ritual engine is very strong, as these finals showed. So.
And that's not even considering like the Joey Pegasus format with Sinister Serpent, Graceful Charity with Relinquished. But like
that's gonna be insane.
Yeah, but like you said, it's Imperial's like a prime area for Relinquished to thrive because it's right before the speed picks up for Yu-Gi-Oh in 2003. I mean, as it should.
Yeah, and while the speed is like, you know, people like the speed, people don't like the speed. It makes for a different game, which is like nice. But also there's something nice about that, the like grindier formats, the slower formats that can enable interesting decks to thrive. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like that's, I guess, the motivation why people play these retro formats at all is because like you have a lot of variety.
Scapegoat and Joey
Different
Pegasus
formats
as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
That
and
put
I mean,
different emphasis. Yeah.
yeah, and it's
Right.
nice too because I feel like with so many different formats to play, it's just like nice to see there's like a format for everyone, right? And the more formats we explore and the more formats we flesh out and the more formats we throw tournaments in, the more chances people have to find a format that they really like, and maybe that will surprise them. So yeah, I hope people keep joining these tournaments. We're going to keep running them, and I hope people find something new.
So next month is going to be Android.
Yeah.
We just
so
saw the one. Yeah.
yeah, it will be Android for sure. And then the following month, we're probably either going to do like Joey Pegasus, or we're going to jump back into something like Critter, because running 3 sort of Android-esque formats in a row might be kind of wearing for some people. I know that, you know, we were just saying how Imperial is much slower than Android, which is true, but I feel like people kind of lump them together in their minds. So it might be good to like mix it up again and go for an older format. So, but we'll decide on the exact one by the time.
Later.
Yeah, and this would be a good place to plug in where people can do this kind of stuff in terms of discussing more about it or playing it, looking up resources, that sort of deal.
Yeah, we've got the Yugioh from Zero Discord server, where me, Aratos, and DK are all mods actually, which is kind of fun. So we all run that together, and it's a great place just to sort of talk about all these old formats, play in them, and just like find other people who want to explore these things. And every month, we've been holding a tournament, and we're not planning on stopping that anytime soon. And the more people join the tournaments, the better they can be. So if this has interested you and you want to try out Imperial or try out any of these other old DM era formats, then that's the place to go to and explore. Also, I have a YouTube channel, Yugioh from Zero, which like has gameplay videos on the variety of decks in each of these formats. And I'm not planning on slowing that down anytime soon. So We're chugging forward ahead into Android this month, and after that, we'll be exploring Joey Pegasus and beyond. So, if you like the idea of that, then definitely check it out.
Yes, and also shout out to formatlibrary.com. If you want to find a place to get more information for retro formats and other, they also have their own Discord as well with a lot of rankings and resources.
Yeah, and they hold tournaments, and they're just very helpful. And also, they cover formats further ahead from where we are in Yugioh from zero. So if you want like GX era stuff or beyond, then that's the place to go. We will get there eventually in Yugioh from zero, but Format Library's got all you need right now in that regard.
Yes, and of course, if you're watching this, you probably already know my channel, but
yeah. And shout out to Janjo.
Plug that either.
Yeah, thank you so much for streaming this. I know it was kind of last minute, but yeah, like Janjo, I'll plug your channel for you because I know it's on your channel, but I really enjoy all your videos. They're great overviews of all these retro formats, and like without you, Imperial would not be named Imperial. Like you covered Imperial before anyone else, and so thank you for the work that you do.
Yes, I'm the Christopher Columbus of retro Yu-Gi-Oh! Aside from all the genocide.
Yeah, yeah, the much better version.
Yeah, that's what makes me really excited about seeing more about Imperial format, because when I first saw that it got its own page on Format Library, which just completely took me by shock. But I was like watching my little baby grow up, kind of, and seeing more decks, and that people enjoy it more than just seeing it as a less good Android format is very exciting to see.
Yeah, and no promises as to whether Imperial will get a Format Library channel in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully this encourages people to check it out.
Absolutely,
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But thank you all for tuning in, and yeah, thank you so much for streaming this again.
Yeah, thank you everyone who has been. Yeah, thank you for everyone who has been showing up. One more congratulations to all the duelists and Aretos for winning this, and I'm sure he'll get
and shout out to everyone who participated. Right.
Yeah, this was a great one, and there were a lot of great players in this tournament. So shout outs to everyone.
Right. Because we haven't mentioned, I think, that we had 15 players this time, 20 the last time, 13 the first. That's pretty good numbers for a relatively young Discord channel and community. That's pretty good. Like a lot of tournaments on Format Library, which is much, much bigger, doesn't have these numbers for obscure formats like Imperial.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll just grow bigger and better. So, yeah, if this is like, sign up for the next tournament if you're interested. They're very sort of like, I mean, low stakes. They take place over multiple days, and there's a lot of people exploring and experimenting in them because these are such new formats. So,
it's a nice, welcoming community, relaxed setting. But I would say like we have a good like mixture of competitiveness, but also willingness to experiment.
Yeah, and like I've been convinced by people who like I've tried out things and been like, oh, I don't think this is good, and people have convinced me. They've experimented further and sort of changed my opinion on certain decks. Like Exodia was like that. The Discord blog convinced me on that. And so it is, new ideas are being discovered here. So
absolutely, this goes for like all the retro formats. I mean, if it wasn't for these like old school communities kind of popping up, it'd still be Fiend Spellcaster Mirrors and Yugi Kaiba, and we wouldn't be seeing Exodia decks and Critter format and so on.
Yeah, and so there's still a lot to discover.
Yes. All right, well, thank you all for joining, and with that, I think it's a good time to end the stream, so have a great day, everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, peace.
Or good night.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, whatever time it is for you.
Yeah.